Hi, John with eTrailer. Today on our 2014 Mobility Ventures MV-1, we're going to be looking at and installing the Curt trailer wiring harness. So this harness actually connects from the inside and it comes out from the inside when you're going to use it to tow a trailer. When it's not in use, you can throw it in the back and it's out of the elements. Then when you're ready to use it, you can open the hatch and it simply just comes out, drapes over through this rubber seal, and you're ready to hook up to your trailer. So this is a 4-way flat. This is one of the most popular connectors that they have for trailers. It has the included dust cover, and that's nice to keep the corrosion and dirt out. This trailer wiring harness is great for if your trailer or if you have cargo racks or bicycle racks that have additional lighting on it. This mimics your car's left turn signal, right turn signal, running lights, and brake lights to keep you safe on the road. So this is actually a power converter harness, and what does that mean to you? Behind this panel, we've mounted a power converter box. In the event that your trailer shorts out, it won't backfeed into your system and cause damage to your vehicle. So as far as installation goes on this is not a plug-and-play option for this vehicle. We did have to splice it, and that meant we had to pull the taillights off and get into it a little bit. Now, I can show you, it wasn't too hard overall. If you're interested in this or you think this might work for you, stick around, I'll show you how I did it. So this particular wiring kit is a splice kit, which means we have to get access to the wiring for our taillights. That means we pull the taillights out. On this particular model, I have a T15. We're going to take these two Torx bits out and we're going to pull the lens out. After the Torx bits are out, what I like to do is I've got painter's tape around the metal edges, the painted edges on this, just to keep us from scratching anything. Now on this side we have two tabs that actually pop into it like this. So we're going to have to take our tool. We have a plastic trim tool here, and we'll wedge this in here. This piece goes around the tab and pushes out. And so while I have leverage here, I'm going to be pulling back on the tail light lens to pop it out. And the bottom one came out. Underneath, you have a factory wiring harness, and this tab right here, press down, and it should pop out. After that, we're just going to go ahead and repeat the exact same thing on the other side. The way that this converter is wired, it's going to be situated closer to the driver's side here. The wires, the longer wires, are going to go across to the passenger side. That's going to be later. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to push in on this grommet to access the inside of the vehicle. Once we push the grommet through, we need to get access behind it here. So you can use a trim tool like this if you need to. A lot of times, just some pressure. You're going to have one tab here. You're going to have another tab up high. Once it's out like this, you can just add careful pressure, and that will open it up. We don't need much room. We just need enough to be able to get our hand in there. So I just have a tape roll to hold that back for me. And you can see we have the access that we need. So next step is going to be running some of the wires through to tap into the outside, and we're going to mount this box on the inside somewhere back here. So as we run the wires through, what I did was we're going to leave the ground. The white is the ground. We leave that inside since we have to screw that through the frame. Less chance of corrosion. The other wires I taped together, and I'm going to run them through the factory grommet here. There is enough room. This rubber will stretch, and we can force this way through for a nice, clean, weatherproof install. All right, so now our wires are through the grommet. We're going to pin this out to figure out which wire has which signal. Now, your kit comes with a test light, and it's a little cheapy thing, but it works great. We're going to run the ground inside the vehicle up here. There is a screw right here that we can attach to that's grounded out great. So if you have a helper, this is a good time to go get them and get inside the vehicle. So the first thing we're going to do is have them turn on the running lights. And we're going to find out which pin is the running lights. That one right there. Turn the running lights off. Perfect. Now we're going to have them hit the brake. We'll try the pin down below. That's the brake. Brake off. And we can do left turn signal. Perfect. All right, left turn off. So we have these pinned out. The other side is a separate wire, and we can show you that in a minute. Okay, we're going to pop this tab off this factory connector here so we have easier access. And the next step is to peel back this electrical tape, and we'll figure out which pin has which color wire. So I took a razor blade and I just carefully cut the electrical tape back, and it exposed the colors on the wires. And what we're looking at here, the bottom pin, which was our brake and turn, that's going to be gray with a white tracer, and our running lights is going to be the purple wire with a white tracer. So we have these wires pulled through. On this particular vehicle, we're only going to be using these 2 wires. So we're going to strip this red wire back, and since it's not in use, the directions tell us to go ahead and ground this. So now that we've got it through the grommet, we're going to go ahead and run this back inside and up to the ground. The next step is actually to cut the wires. Now, I don't like cutting wires too close to the connector, so I've stripped this back just a little bit more, and we will cut these so that we can link them up with the converter box. Next step here is going to be stripping the wires back. Nothing too much. That was our brake and turn signal, and our brown is our running lights. And then again on our connector, the gray with black tracer is our brake and turn signal, and our purple with the white tracer is going to be our running lights. Now, the converter box kit comes with these connectors. I really don't like these. These are not sealed. These are on the outside of the vehicle. So you're going to have a problem with corrosion in the future if you use these. I like to swap these out for heat shrink butt terminals. You're just going to have a better connection and water resistance. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and twist the wires together. We're going to be going from the vehicle side. So we're going to do the yellow wire with the gray wire and black tracer. We're going to link those together on the vehicle side. Just go ahead and twist them together. Then we take the butt connector and we'll thread this on. And we're going to go ahead and crimp that down. And I like to give it a little tug just to make sure it's secure. And we're going to go ahead and repeat that with the other wires. Now that we have the vehicle side crimped up, all that's left is to crimp up the connector side. Now remember to get the wires to line up. So purple to purple and gray to gray. And again, give it a little tug. Once we're crimped up, you can take your heat gun, or if you don't have a heat gun, you can use a lighter. Basically, we're going to apply heat, and these will shrink down and create a watertight seal. Just keep the air moving over it. You don't want to keep it in one spot too long. Watch your fingers, it does get hot. Once we got the driver's side all sealed up, the only thing we have to do, of course, is the passenger side. That's only running one wire, but in this kit, we're going to run into issues where it's not going to end up being long enough once we mount our box up and away. So you're probably going to have to get some extra wire and another butt connector so that you have the length needed to get up and access the connector on the passenger side. I was looking for a good place to run this wire, and this back protective cover here, it's being held in by two T15 bolts. I've already pulled those out, and then there's a series of latches that you just slide your hand under here and you'll hear them popping. There's some in the back and there's some in the front, and be careful not to cut yourself on the plastic. And this, to me, seemed like a good place to cross this wire over to the passenger side. To access the grommet on this side, we don't have to take any of this upper trim panel off. I'm just going to slide my hand back, just carefully peel that back, and you can actually reach your hand in there and you'll feel the grommet. And I'll just work it to the outside out here. And that goes for the wire that we're going to run. And we can just feed it this way. And we'll run it inside the grommet just like we did on the driver's side. So just like the driver's side, we're going to take these two wires that are coming from the vehicle, and we're going to twist these together. And then we'll take the butt connector and connect these two together and heat shrink it just like we did before. So with the passenger side wired up, the next thing we're going to do is connect the ground. And remember, on this one, the red was not being used and it needs to be connected to ground. I have a ring terminal here. We're going to put that on, and we're going to end up mounting it on this location right here. That's a 10mm socket, by the way. So loosen this nut. And careful not to drop it. Take our two ring terminals and mount them and replace the nut. All right, now's a good time to connect the power wire. With the kit, you're going to have the included power wire that will run underneath the vehicle up to the battery. If we do this now before we mount the box, it's just going to be easier. All right, now it's time to mount the box. You can see right here, there's kind of a cutout. Included with the kit is some double stick tape. And we're just gonna peel the one side. I'm gonna apply that to the back of the box. And peel the other side. And just go ahead, reach your hand back in there, and you can see we're going to have a nice spot to mount this converter box. And just reach back there and apply it against the wall. Any orientation is fine. So the power wire is connected up. As far as the trailer circuit goes, this is it. In this particular application, we just run this out the tailgate and connect it up to the trailer. So there's nothing else to do with this. The last thing is running the power wire. Underneath this panel, you're going to have a plastic grommet, and you can drill right through the center of this, and we're going to run our power line right down to get down to the underneath. And then just feed this length of wire all the way through. All right, once we got the wire fed down, just to keep moisture and stuff out, I went ahead and added some black silicone. If you have clear silicone, that's fine. This is underneath this panel. Nobody's ever going to see it. And instead of waiting for it to dry, you can just go ahead and put some painter's tape right over it. So next time you need to get under here, you won't have the RTV sticking to the underside of this. All right, once we dropped it down from the floor, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to run this up to the front, and then I'll show you how I did it. Keep in mind, you want to keep the wire away from anything hot or suspension up and down or twisty things like the axle. So the power wire we ran down through the grommet, we're just going to run it over. The battery is located on the passenger side of this vehicle, so we just went up high and went around and under over here. We're avoiding, again, the exhaust, the axles, the suspension, and we kind of just ran it along this frame rail on this side, just using zip ties to secure it. We don't want it wiggling when it's going down the road. And we went up here, kept it away from the catalytic converters. Those are going to get hot, and road spray, we're going to tuck it in behind the plastic inner fender well over here, and that'll keep it safe from rocks and gravel. And it's going up to the battery. Okay, so we're up here at the front of the vehicle now. This kit did come with a ring terminal to connect to the battery. On this particular vehicle, we're just going to tap into this right here. It's a 10mm bolt, and that's the hot side. And we're going to put the ring terminal here. This will come with the included fuse holder, and we'll put the fuse in at the end. So things to do right now is to grab our wire that we ran. And we're going to run this up. And again, while you're doing this, you want to keep in mind that you don't want it near anything that's going to get hot. You want it routed out of the way. The nicer spots we found here is going to be on this wire loom that connects up to the firewall here. And we're going to be able to tuck our wire, keep it away from everything, and we're just going to zip tie this wire right here. Okay, so we have it routed up to the battery here, and now is the time that we're going to be looking at the length of the wire, what we need to do as far as butt connectors and everything else. Again, the butt connectors that came with the kit are not water resistant, so we are going to upgrade to a heat shrink style butt connector. Once we have this routed, we're just going to go ahead and cut the excess off, since this is actually going to be the part that attaches to the battery. So we have our fuse holder. They pre-snip them for you. This is just a little short for my taste. I like to go just a little bit more. That way we're sure to get a good contact inside the butt connector here. Put that in. We're going to go ahead and crimp this. And give it a tug test. So the butt connector is going to run to your power line. Now on the battery side, we have the included ring terminal that's going to connect up at the battery post. Give it a tug test, good to go. So I kind of saw what I needed as far as length on this, and I know where to cut my line running to the back here, and that's going to be right here. Get that out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and strip this line and attach it to the butt connector side. Give it a tug test. So next step's going to be to heat shrink this down, make a weather-tight seal. We're going to bring this around the front of the battery, and we're going to feed it through the silicone isolator here, and we're going to attach it right up here. Now, we do not have the fuse in yet. We don't want to risk blowing the fuse just yet while everything is still loose. That's it. Go ahead and replace the cover. Okay, so it's the moment of truth here. We just insert the fuse. That's going to supply the power back to our converter box. Go ahead and put the dust cover on it. So it's all hooked up. We have the fuse up in the front. Next step is to test this. Again, grab a helper. It's going to make it a lot easier. We have this tester available at etrailer.com, so if you need one, go ahead and it's a handy thing to have. So let's go ahead and have our tester give us some running lights. And how about some brake lights? Great. How about left blinker? Right blinker? And brakes. Perfect. Okay, now that we've tested everything is working properly, it's time to put everything back together. We'll put in the tail lights, we'll put in the rear trim, and snap all the side trim together. And that was it for the Curt trailer wiring harness on our 2014 Mobility Ventures MV-1.